We are anonymous. We are the watchers who see through the fog of lies. We analyze the wars that are never declared and expose the truth buried beneath concrete and code. Tonight, we reveal one of the largest urban operations in modern American history, a campaign not fought overseas, but in the heart of the homeland itself. This is the story of Operation Inner Shield, October 17, 2025. The streets of Chicago, Baltimore, and Los Angeles lay cold beneath a brewing storm. For months, federal intelligence had tracked an invisible empire spreading through America's urban heart, a ruthless syndicate known as the blockkings. They had turned public housing projects into fortresses of addiction. Their operations were relentless. 3 tons of narcotics every month, enough poison to claim 1 American life every 9 minutes. Neighborhoods were suffocating under despair. Behind every locked door hid a quiet horror. Children inhaling fentanyl dust through cracked air vents. The elderly collapsing beside framed family photographs. Every block, every stairwell, every apartment was another battlefield disguised as home. That night, the United States launched Operation Inner Shield, a coordinated strike across 12 cities involving more than 400 agents. Led by DIA tactical teams supported by elite FBI units and Homeland Security's ICE operatives. Their mission was simple in words but impossible in cost: reclaim the streets before another dawn fell upon a poisoned nation. Could America's finest dismantle the empire before it devoured another generation, or would the blockkings tighten their grip once more on the soul of the nation? This is what really happened. 4:30 a.m., October 17th. Beneath the hazy orange glow of Chicago's South Side, the city trembled in silence. Neon signs flickered against cracked concrete. The rumble of overloaded power lines filled the dawn air. In the South Side housing projects, the silence was not peace. It was tension before the storm. For months, the network of gangster disciples known as the blockkings had turned inner cities into dens of addiction. Across Chicago, Baltimore, and Los Angeles, they operated from 63 abandoned apartments and 21 subsidized units. Nearly 3 tons of methamphetamine and fentanyl moved through their hands every month, enough to kill 5 million people. Their supply chains ran through food delivery trucks. Fake pharmacies and senior care drivers paid to move the product undetected. The victims were not only young, they were the forgotten, elderly. In one housing complex of 1,200 residents, more than 400 were over 60. Overdose calls among seniors had increased by 312% in 1 year. Fire department data showed 1 in 5 overdose victims were found in government-funded senior housing. At a dark kitchen table, Margaret Lewis, 65, clutched a photo of her son dead at 37. A fentanyl-laced pill had taken his life. Bought for $10 in the same building where she still lived. She whispered, "We don't lock our doors to keep out burglars anymore. We lock them to keep out the neighborhood ghosts." Outside, black vans rolled quietly through the alleys. Inside, the downtown command post agents from DEA, ICE, FBI, and Homeland Security's HSI units studied blinking red dots on a digital map. 12 targets, coordinates confirmed, countdown initiated. The clock read 4:49 a.m. What would happen in the next 11 minutes would redefine the war on drugs. Because this time the battlefield was not across the border. It was inside American homes. Operation Inner Shield began not with explosions, but with data. 6,742 intercepted messages, 81 undercover buys, 4 months of surveillance. Behind the tinted glass of federal offices, agents mapped an empire built on silence. Each coded text looked ordinary. 3 boxes, West 5 drops by noon. But behind those words were metric tons of poison. DEA confirmed the blockkings were moving 2.6 tons of narcotics every 30 days, 41 fake moving companies, 23 unlicensed courier services, 5,000 deliveries each month disguised as food or medical supplies. Street value, $480 million. Their reach was massive, and the FBI's cyber division found something darker. 72 city housing units listed as vacant were actually drug labs. In Baltimore, one complex alone produced 50,000 counterfeit pills per week. Fentanyl levels 15 times stronger than medical grade. 60% of buyers were over 55, searching for pain relief, not addiction. ICE and HSI traced the chemical supply chain back to Tijuana and Sinaloa. 1.2 tons of precursor chemicals had been smuggled inside cargo labeled humanitarian aid. 6 entire shipping containers of pill presses had slipped through Los Angeles port under falsified disaster codes. By October 14th, the command map glowed red. 12 strike zones, 3 states, 1 objective. Special Agent Ramirez studied the screen and said, "They are not just killing cities. They are killing the people who built them." The order was signed. Operation Innershield would begin. The first explosion did not echo. It thumped through concrete like a heartbeat in 12 neighborhoods, from Chicago's South Side to Baltimore's Park Heights to Los Angeles's Skid Row. Silence shattered. 37 armored vehicles rolled through fog. 412 agents advanced in formation. Each carried a live feed camera linked to the command center in Louisville. Above them, 9 thermal drones scanned rooftops for heat signatures. 60 seconds later, breach orders went out. Steel rams smashed through reinforced doors. Flashbangs erupted. White light sliced through the darkness. Federal shouts drowned out the hum of the city. Inside one squat house, agents found 12 chemical vats bubbling with methamphetamine. 80 pounds per batch. $5 million of street value every 48 hours. 2 blocks away in Baltimore, a daycare front exploded into gunfire. 7 armed suspects opened fire through drywall. 43 seconds of chaos. 3 gunmen down. 68 pounds of fentanyl powder seized. Enough to kill 34 million people. Nearby ICE agents uncovered a tunnel linking apartment basements, used to move drugs without ever stepping outside. In Los Angeles, the scene turned surreal. Agents stormed a parking garage where 1.2 million counterfeit pills were stacked in bins labeled community donations. 89 firearms seized, including 12 automatic rifles and 4 belt-fed machine guns. Tear gas drifted across the street as firefighters evacuated a senior complex. 43 elderly residents trembled, but survived. By 5:11 a.m., the sweep was complete. 67 suspects detained, 14 wounded, none dead. 1.8 tons of narcotics seized, $6.7 million in cash. A data drive linking the blockkings to Mexican suppliers. As dawn light touched the skyline, the truth became clear. The enemy no longer crossed borders. He rented apartments next door. When the sun rose over Chicago, smoke still hung low. Sirens pulsed like a heartbeat through the streets. People opened their windows to a landscape that no longer felt like home. Riot shields leaned against mailboxes. Yellow tape cut through courtyards. Federal agents collected evidence in what once were playgrounds. In less than 6 hours, 12 cities had been cleared. 1.8 tons of narcotics seized. $6.7 million in cash. 89 illegal firearms removed from circulation. But the real toll was human. More than 2,400 residents evacuated. Nearly 500 seniors had unknowingly lived beside chemical labs. Fire crews found toxic residues in 37 apartments. Levels so high experts compared it to breathing inside a gasoline tank. In Baltimore, an elderly couple was rescued from a unit above a stash house. The husband's oxygen tank had been pulling in air filled with fentanyl dust. Community centers turned into crisis shelters. Local clinics reported 1,200 medical visits in 2 days. Panic attacks, smoke inhalation trauma. Federal medics distributed 3,000 doses of naloxone and 10,000 masks. At St. Agnes Church, pews filled with grieving families. A mother spoke through tears. We did not need soldiers from another country to hurt us. We raised our own monsters in government housing. Her words echoed across the nation. By October 20th, recovery teams had sealed 27 contaminated buildings and relocated 600 residents. But fear lingered. If it happened once, it could happen again. Margaret Lewis stood outside a mobile clinic, watching the last armored convoy disappear. The neighborhood was quiet now, too quiet. The war had not ended. It had only gone underground, and America realized something heavier than the drugs it had seized. Its own cities had become the front line. By October the 22nd, Operation Innershield had become the largest urban narcotics crackdown in U.S. history. Over 600 arrests, $12 million in assets frozen, 3 tons of drugs removed, enough fentanyl to kill the population of New York twice over. Inside Chicago's City Hall, the Attorney General stood before cameras and called it a domestic counterinsurgency fought block by block. Behind her charts revealed the empire's skeleton. 14,000 counterfeit pill molds, 92 ghost accounts, laundering $480 million, 118 couriers using medical permits to transport poison, disguised as prescriptions. But recovery was as important as justice. $85 million in emergency grants were approved. The Elder Shield program was born, offering free drug test kits and medical support for seniors. Nearly 4,000 elderly residents registered within the first week. Volunteers rebuilt playgrounds over former stash sites. Murals appeared on burned walls painted by teenagers who had lost friends. Every mural carried the same message: we are still here. Yet in the celebration, a darker signal appeared. Analysts decrypted fragments from the seized data drive, references to offshore supply lines, ships under false flags crossing the Gulf of Mexico, a phrase repeated again and again. Phase 2, Urban Tide. Commander Ramirez read the file and said softly, "We may have won the city, but the next war will come from the sea." As night fell, the American flag rippled above City Hall. The nation could finally breathe. But everyone who lived through Innershield knew the truth. The battle for America's soul had not ended. It had only changed its address. The dust settled, but the echoes remained. In Chicago, 4,200 people displaced, 600 families without homes, 1,800 seniors relocated while cleanup continued. Federal reports called it a strategic success. But for those who lived it, victory looked different. An old man sweeping his porch again after months of lockdown. A mother lighting a candle beneath a mural that read, "We are still here." A nurse holding a trembling hand in a free clinic, reminding the forgotten that someone still cared. Crime fell 38% in affected zones. But calls for mental health support among seniors rose 260%. Overdose deaths slowed but did not stop. The war had shifted shape, not disappeared. In Washington, lawmakers debated new recovery funding. On the ground, agents quietly prepared for what might come next. Urban warfare no longer described foreign deserts. It described the streets of home. At sunset, Commander Ramirez stood outside the rebuilt command post. The flag above him waved in the cold October wind. He said, "We can rebuild buildings, but rebuilding trust takes longer." Somewhere beyond the skyline, whispers moved again. Encrypted, silent, waiting. Because in America's endless struggle between corruption and courage, one truth endures: the war for peace never truly ends. It just changes its battlefield. If you believe these stories matter, if you believe the world must see both the horror and the hope, then join us. Share these truths. Together we ensure that silence is never the last word, and that justice always has the final say.